Hi, I'm Alex, welcome to the channel and thanks for tuning in. So in today's video we're talking about something slightly different but still investing related. We're talking about cryptos, but we're also going to touch on a couple of things which a lot of people are asking me about, specifically Doge, Safemoon and Cumrocket. So before we get into it, I have been in the crypto space for some time. It only makes up a small proportion of my overall portfolio, but I have been in Bitcoin since around the Mt. Gox hack, and today I mainly hold Bitcoin, Ethereum and a few other of the altcoins which have been around for some time. In my belief, the cryptos with institutional investor participation, especially Bitcoin and Ethereum, aren't going anywhere, and while volatile, should be considered as any part of any investment portfolio. Now overall I'm bullish on the asset class, but what we're going to discuss in this video is something which often people shy away from, whether deliberately or unintentionally, and this is something which needs to be discussed. Now clearly cryptos have an extremely different risk-reward profile to stocks. They don't have an underlying earnings profile which you can fundamentally analyse them on the basis of, and there's a different level of regulation, and the lack of regulation in the crypto space does mean that people can get away with saying things which, if they were said in relation to stocks, would not be allowed at all. Now remember, this is a crypto bull market, so it is at this point in time actually fairly hard to pick the wrong horse here. However, this will not continue. Now nobody knows what cryptos will perform well, and make sure you pay particular attention to the small cap cryptos which are being pushed heavily on social media and which can be more easily manipulated. You don't want to be left bag holding, and many content creators at the moment are being paid large sums of money to promote specific cryptos. So you have to keep this in mind when you're watching videos or reading content online, that perhaps those people whose videos or articles you're reading about in relation to stocks, perhaps their judgment's now being compromised to this large payment being made to them. Now personally, and it's something I will discuss on the channel a bit more, I'm looking to establish some positions in a number of the smaller mining players, and this is something which we will cover in more detail on this channel in due course. Now as well as this, a number of people have also shared with me various TikTok videos on crypto investing and crypto investing strategies and have asked for my view on them. Now clearly, if you are taking your advice from kids on TikTok, you should be very, very careful. Now there is one I want to talk about specifically which I've been shared a number of times, and it's all focused around following and tracking the largest crypto hedge funds and the positions they've been taking in some of the smaller altcoins. The video basically says, watch the positions they've taken over the last 24 hours and mimic that. Now logically you can see why this makes sense. However, the majority of these crypto funds are actually playing volatility-based strategies to generate their returns. That means they aren't necessarily taking a long or short position on a specific coin or token, and them having a large changing position in any specific crypto doesn't actually provide much of an indication or much information at all. All they're looking for is the coins with the greatest degree of volatility, where their strategy will be most effective in generating returns. So please be careful if you are mimicking this strategy, and in general taking any advice from anyone on TikTok, YouTube, Reddit or wherever online. Always make sure you do your own research and thoroughly understand what you're doing before making any investment. Now many of the new cryptos that seem to be getting a lot of attention at the moment seem to have one simple goal in mind in common. They're basically trying to be get-rich-quick schemes. The sole purpose of many of these new projects is to make staggering returns in a very short period of time. Now, whilst the concept and idea of this is great, this is actually generally only really a reality for those very early in on it. For every one screenshot you see of somebody turning $100 into $100,000, there are 20 investors who are making much more modest returns, or perhaps even making losses. Please keep this in mind before making any investments on the back of seeing things like this. Many of these projects do have characteristics which are more akin to a pyramid scheme or a Ponzi scheme. Now, it is really hard to appreciate and step back and see this at that point in time. Let's not forget that very few people were calling BitConnect a scam before it ultimately disappeared. However though, such projects to make everyone rich are not sustainable and not something which can happen for everyone, forever. Often in these projects, and as we have seen in examples over the past 5 years, much of that initial liquidity that enables people to buy the crypto is provided by the initial large holders. Ultimately, for you as an investor to sell, you're then reliant on new demand from new buyers at a higher price, and that's not always the case. What's more, in some small cryptos too, having a really large position can actually be very challenging to liquidate this and convert into a more liquid crypto, say Bitcoin, or even fiat currency. Now, one really important thing to keep in mind here is the regulatory framework in the crypto market versus the stock market. There's very little regulation in crypto, and so that ultimately means there's a much greater potential for being scammed, misled, and given false information. Remember, anyone can make a claim about a crypto of new exchange listings, upcoming functionality, and all sorts of other things. We've seen loads of failed promises over the past 5 years across a number of projects in the space. And there's not the same accountability for the project team as there is for the management of a stock, for example. If you're new to crypto investing and you're questioning the validity of that statement, just look back to the 2017 ICO boom and look at how many of those multi-billion-dollar projects have failed to deliver on the promises and actually how many of them still are around today. Now, I'm not bashing any specific project here or any team. There are a load of really great, exciting projects around, but there are also a bunch of pretty shitty ones. You just need to be careful. If you really want to be making continued, sustainable, superior returns in this market, you do need to ensure you have a strong degree of focused and informed skepticism. Now, I'm not a trader, and if you have a trading strategy, you just need to find the right cryptos which have the best characteristics for your trading strategy. However, my background is in investing, so in my position, I'm carefully picking the right projects, and you have to pick through the hype and the rubbish and select the best options there are to invest into to generate those superior returns. Now, it is also really easy to see some incredible returns generated by people and get convinced that this is possible for everyone. Remember, those phenomenal returns is only the case for a very small percentage of the very early investors. This is also the same case for those who invest very early into stocks and other instruments too. Now, you've probably also heard this in relation to stocks, but it's important here too. Past performance is no indicator of future expected performance. Just because you've seen somebody make $2 million returns on an altcoin doesn't mean that you can also generate that too. Please be really careful here. If you're new to the channel and you like investing related content, then make sure you're subscribed. Please smash the like button. On this channel, we never use clickbait, we never have misleading titles, and we keep our videos based on fact. The algorithm doesn't love pushing this type of content, so please can you help us by smashing that like button. Help the algorithm learn that clickbait content isn't always needed, and it's not helpful for the YouTube investing community in the long run. Your help's massively appreciated in this, so please keep it up. The channel also has a Patreon group. If you're interested in a private Discord, private video calls, and a load of other things, then check that out. And as always, whilst my full-time office-based job is investing, I'm not a financial advisor. This video is purely for educational and entertainment purposes only, but let's get straight into it. So when looking at many of these newer altcoins and meme cryptos, there are a few things you really need to be aware of and need to be focusing on. Now, I should also say here that I'm not invested in any of these recent cryptos, with the following reasons, which I'm going to outline, being part of the reason for this. Firstly, don't underestimate the power of social media and its ability to drive meme value. We've seen this both in stocks and in cryptos. However, as an investor, I like to ensure my returns are risk-weighted, and it's impossible to calculate the meme potential. So for me, that falls more into the domain of gambling than investing. Many of these cryptos still could explode from here, however there are some things which I've been keeping my eye on which are important dynamics and which are worth discussing. Number one, the volume traded on these cryptos is directly correlated to the number of searches for that specific crypto and the videos posted on YouTube and other social media posts all over the internet. These volumes are key to ensure a continued upward price momentum. A loss of continued demand to purchase the crypto will leave the price stagnant and not drive it up. This in turn could cause more concern amongst investors who are inherently looking for quicker returns if it's these ones focused around get-rich-quick schemes, and ultimately will jump ship to other opportunities which come up in the meantime. Now, another important consideration here is that if nobody is selling, the liquidity and the availability to invest in that crypto has to come from somewhere. So you've got to hope it's not from the big holders and early investors, because that's definitely not a good sign. Number two, if they've recently dropped from their all-time highs, there are likely to be a lot of investors who are underwater on their investment. Now, clearly there are a load of stock market investors who've now transitioned across into the crypto domain. Now, many YouTube channels which also previously covered stocks have now moved into the crypto space and are discussing cryptos which oftentimes have fallen from their all-time highs, and some of those content creators have in some cases removed their videos or hidden them, and are now creating content to try and push that back up to the previous levels. Now, I'm not going to name names here, but it's actually pretty damning if you plot the first post on some of these cryptos which many YouTubers have made and the price chart. Ultimately, if you have a YouTube channel and you're big and you have a good CPM, you can easily recoup your losses by posting enough videos on specific cryptos and it gets enough views and attention. For most viewers, that's not a possibility and that's not reality. Remember that unlike stocks where there are fundamental mathematics and dynamics which you can use to understand the valuations and price targets, that's not possible for cryptos in the same way. Same goes for NFTs and other tokens. Anyone making price predictions is purely speculating. Now please remember, any price targets is speculation and don't take somebody's word for it. Make sure you're never investing more than you can afford to lose. Now also, for the avoidance of doubt, anyone watching this channel, our CPM is horrifically low and we make basically no ad revenue whatsoever. The brutal truth is that nobody knows what the future prices of these cryptos will be. Yes, the team may have great integrity, but if it is a meme play, and just look at the name, the branding, the rhetoric, then it's totally reliant on that meme playing out, and then this is gambling and hoping that it continues. Yes, you may still well generate great returns from that, but that's not a risk-reward profile which personally works for me and my investing strategy. Personally, I don't like to make losses on capital, ever. Now, as a reminder, crypto teams aren't held accountable in the same way that the board or the management team of a listed company would be, and so in this regard you also have to be more careful. The asset class is much riskier than stocks, and you should take this approach in regards to your asset allocation towards crypto as well. Now, one final thing to consider is that those who are currently bag holding may well see a recovery of prices as an opportunity to recoup some of those losses, and so getting above those previous all-time highs as a resistance level may be challenging if there is a lot of selling pressure. Now, number 3, the rumours are most likely priced in. The crypto market is very speculative, and this is probably an unpopular view here, but hear me out. Now let's take, for example, the rumours of a new exchange being listed. Now clearly, buying some of these altcoins currently is actually not that easy relative to, say, buying Bitcoin. I class anything on Coinbase as easy, Binance as moderate, and then any non-mainstream exchange as more complex. Now, new exchanges being listed is more in terms of adoption and accessibility, being how many new investors would invest. Now, don't get me wrong, news of new exchanges is great, but again, whether these get delivered is yet to be seen, and also the news of this is already disseminated to the market, and so it becomes an expectation amongst holders. What is to be proven though is the impact that these new exchanges has on investors and the altcoin. Will it attract a load of new investors to invest into the token, or instead, does it just provide an easier avenue for liquidity for those already invested into it, and is it already priced in because of that dynamic? My view is that actually it likely is, but let's see. In summary, there are many great projects out there, some will succeed, but many more will fail. There's always great success stories for people at the beginning, but please don't use those to sway your investment decision, and please be cautious. Crypto is a volatile asset class, and altcoins even more so, and especially so when there's no potential for any institutional adoption. So you need to make sure that you allocate your investments appropriately because of this. Can you really see Goldman Sachs' new crypto desk holding Cumrocket, or BlackRock holding Safemoon? Now, I'm not bashing those projects, but clearly these are really important considerations for investors. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please smash the like button. If you're new to the channel, make sure you're subscribed. If you want to see more, join the Discord and the video calls, then check out the Patreon. And as always, please let me know your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. I find it so interesting to hear all the different perspectives and views, so please get involved. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in another video.